Welcome all to the another session of Turbo Machine. So today we are starting with a new module which is the keystone foundation of the entire Turbo Machine subject. So the very first chapter was about the introduction to turbo machines. We have discussed there about the fluid machines, the different types of fluid machines as positive fluid machines, turbo machines, and we have gone through the pi terms, which is the flow coefficient, power coefficient, head coefficient, and also we have gone through the specific speed of pump, turbine, and lastly with the unit quantities. And then we have solved few problems which completes the first module. Now starting with the second module, which I already said that this will be the key foundation stone of the entire turbo machine. So understanding of each and every brick of this chapter or every element of this chapter is very much essential. Why? Because rest of all the other four modules is based on the understanding of the second module, which is what we are doing right now. So if we miss here, it is equivalent to missing as the entire turbo machine itself. So let us be very cautious while listening to this. So let us start with the next module, where the name of the module is energy transfer in turbo machine. So already in the first module we have discussed the definition of turbo machine. The purpose of the turbo machine is to transfer the fluid energy into mechanical energy, or in other case mechanical energy into fluid energy. So whichever machines converts fluid energy into mechanical energy, we call that as power producing machines. Here all the power producing turbo machines are called as turbines. Whereas on the other hand, if the mechanical energy is getting converted to fluid energy, then it is called to be as power absorbing turbo machines. Whereas the few examples are centrifugal pump, centrifugal blower, and centrifugal compressors. So fan, blowers, compressors, all these are power absorbing machines. Okay, now we are now deducing the Euler's equation for a generalized turbo machine. So generalized in the sense, generalized means it is in consideration of both power producing, power absorbing, so including the classification of directional depending on axial direction, radial and tangential. So whatever kind of turbo machine it might be, we have generalized it and we have represented it. So the fundamentality, if we understand of the generalized turbo machine, the extract will be to a particular turbo machine what we will be implementing in future. So this is the derivation of Euler's equation. So let us first understand the velocity component for a generalized turbo machine. So as we can see, there is a shaft on which the rotor is mounted. We can see a circular disc which is nothing but a rotor, and once it is fixed, this rotor and shaft acts as one individual piece. The shaft is supported by a radial and thrust bearing. Now we have marked 2 points. We can see here it is number 1 and point number 2. 1 represents the inlet of the turbo machine, whereas 2 represents the exit of the turbo machine. So what all things can we see at point 1 or at the inlet of the turbo machine? So the very first thing what we have marked here is this point 1 is at a certain radius from the center of the rotation, that is, which has been represented as R1, that is the radius at the entry of the fluid is marked by R1. Now here we can see a three-dimensional figure. So basically we have three components, that is VA, VU and VM, which are nothing but the extract of V1 or resolved components of V1. V1, what is V1? Here just capital V, if I put 1, it becomes at the entrance. Here just V means absolute velocity of the fluid. That means to say, here what is the line we can see as V1, this particular diagonal line, three-dimensional diagonal line, that V1 is the absolute velocity. It means to say the actual flow of fluid is taking place in this direction. For a better understanding, I can just give a small example. Just let me say take two direction. Let me say this is X and this is Y. Suppose if I throw a ball at an angle of 45 degree, the ball travels in a trajectory. Now let me take, for the sake of example, if the ball is traveling in this direction, that represents the absolute traveling direction of the ball. That means the direction in which the ball is actually traveling is the absolute direction. It can be further resolved into the ball speed at which it is traveling in X direction, that is, it is the resolved component in X direction, and the ball in which it is traveling in Y direction. So Vx and Vy gives the resolved component of velocity of the ball while traveling in X direction and while traveling in Y direction. But the actual direction of ball traveling is this. This direction I am calling it as absolute. Out of this absolute direction or velocity, I can resolve it further into two direction. Why? Because the ball is traveling in two dimension. If it is traveling in three dimension, I can resolve the velocity components in all three directions. Here I have just taken an example of two dimension. So only I am resolving it into two direction. If I take the volume and if I throw the ball from one corner of the room to the another corner in the diagonally opposite direction, then we can resolve the speed of the ball or velocity of the ball in all three direction. That is what is the resolved components. The absolute component is V1, which is the actual direction of flow of water. Once this is resolved, I can resolve this into three different directions. Which are they? In the language of turbo machine, the directions has been named with respect to the axis of the shaft. Suppose if I consider this as the shaft and this to be the axis. Now if the flow is happening parallel to the axis, then I will call it as axial direction. If the flow is happening away from the center or towards the center, I will call it as meridional direction or velocity component in the meridional direction. Suppose if I write the section of this, and if the velocity of fluid, now I am writing the section and then representing it. Why? Because I cannot show the tangential direction. If I want to show the tangential direction for this particular axis, then the tangential direction will be exactly perpendicular to the board, which looks just as a point which cannot be represented. So only I have taken the side view of this shaft so that I can write the tangential direction of flow, which is represented by Vu. It is not only in this direction, any direction which is in tangent to the rotary direction is Vu. So, the absolute velocity can be resolved into three basic directions. How have we named? The naming is done with respect to the axis of rotation of the shaft. The very first one, if the fluid after resolving, if the direction is exactly parallel to the axis of the shaft, then I can call it as axial velocity component of absolute velocity. Here we have written it, axial velocity component of absolute velocity. It is the component or resolved component of absolute velocity. So, V is the mother component, whereas these three directional components are the extract or the resolving of the mother component. We will get the individual particular directions component. So, we came to know how to find the axial direction. The meridional direction is whenever the fluid is flowing or the resolved component is in exact perpendicular direction to the axis of the shaft, whether it might be far away from the center or towards the center. It is represented by Vm. M represents meridional, which is also can be said as radial component. Next is the tangential component. So, these are the three basic directions in which we need to resolve to understand further. Why are we understanding this direction? So that knowing the values of these individual components, finally I can reach the point where the amount of energy transferred between a fluid and a machine, where a mechanical energy can be produced or a fluid energy can be produced. That is the purpose. We need to know what is the energy transfer which has taken place between the fluid and machine. If we need to know, we need to understand the individual values of the resolved velocities, so that we can finally estimate what is the amount of energy transferred between the fluid and machine. So, by resolving V1, I have got Va1, that is the axial velocity component at the entry, that is the axial velocity component of absolute velocity. This Va is the axial component of the absolute velocity at the inlet. Similarly, Vu1 is the tangential velocity component of the absolute velocity. Similarly, Vm1 is the radial component of absolute velocity at the inlet. So, every resolved component is accompanied by suffix 1, representing that it is the components or the velocity components at the inlet of the machine. Okay. So, we can see that Va1 is parallel to the axis, and next Vm1 is perpendicular to the axis of the rotation of the shaft. Next, Vu1, we can see here, if this I consider this as an arc, Vu1 is the tangential component of the rotor at the entry. Okay. Next, similarly, I can see the exit conditions. Here the Vm is the radial component of absolute velocity at the exit. Next, Va2 is the axial component of the absolute velocity at the exit. Similarly, Vu2 is the tangential component of the fluid of the absolute velocity at the exit. So, all the things has been defined and it has also been written over there. Here if I put 1, it becomes tangential velocity component of absolute velocity at inlet if it is 1. If it is 2, it is tangential velocity component of absolute velocity at exit. Similarly, Vu is tangential velocity component of absolute velocity, Vm is radial velocity component of absolute velocity, and Va is axial velocity component of absolute velocity. Now I hope we have understood the difference between the absolute velocity and the different velocity components of absolute velocity. So, this is the absolute velocity. These three are the resolved components of absolute velocity. So, there should be no confusion in the understanding of the notations. Only if we are familiar with the notations, we can easily understand and get along with the subject in the further classes. So, only I am repeating about the notations, the nomenclature of the generalized turbo machine, which will be required till the end of the subject, not the chapter, till the end of the subject. Next, we have tried to understand most of all of the components. The omega is the angular velocity. Next, before starting of the derivation, we need to understand the working principle of the turbo machine, or suppose if I take the example of a turbine. Turbine is nothing but power producing machine. Suppose if I want to understand the working principle of the turbine, suppose let me say this is the turbine, this is the shaft of the turbine, this is the rotor of the turbine. The rotor is mounted on the shaft. Suppose if the force of the flowing fluid is applied in this direction, and if I think because of the flow of the water or because of the flow of the fluid, if the force is acting in this direction, if we think by making use of our common sense, is the wheel going to spin? Yes or no means absolutely. If you are applying the radial force on a spinning wheel, it will not rotate. In the same way, that means this is the radial direction. If I apply the force in this direction, that means the direction parallel to the axis, that is the axial force, even then the wheel is not going to rotate. Why I am speaking about the rotation of the wheel? Only by making the turbo machine to spin, the energy transfer can take place. The definition of the turbo machine itself says that any device or any machine which is spinning on its own axis and transferring the energy from fluid to mechanical or vice versa is to be called as turbo machine. Now, the spinning of the wheel, in which direction if you apply the force, the spinning of the wheel will occur. We have already seen two directions. By applying the radial force, it is not going to happen. By applying the axial force, it is not going to happen. The only force left over is tangential force. To understand in a layman's language, So you might have seen the kids driving the tires of a old bicycle or a bike while they are playing. Uh, Basically, they will be driving the old tire or a wheel by making use of a stick. If you see a kid beating the tire, it will be beating the tire in one particular direction so that the tire will start to roll. If you beat the tire in this direction vertically downwards, that means it will be the radial direction to the spinning axis. If you beat the tire in this direction, the tire is, let me imagine it is here, and if you beat it from this direction also, then it will not rotate. Only if the tire is beaten in certain fashion as if the force is being transmitted in the tangential direction, only the tire starts to rotate. This is the very basic understanding, and this is how the force, the direction of force in which should be applied so that the spinning take place and then the power is produced. So here, while designing of the turbo machine, I should make sure the change in axial velocity component change will leads to axial thrust, which is of no use. The change in radial velocity component leads to radial force, which is then transferred to the bearing, which is also of no use. The only change in velocity component which will drive the turbo machine is the tangential velocity component, which is Vu. So you can also see it in the equation. The Vu components is very much there. The reason is the only change in tangential velocity component can cause a turbo machine to run. The rest of the two other components induces or creates unwanted forces. That is, Vm is also not essential, Va is also not essential. The only focus on which we need to target is Vu, which is responsible for the running of the turbo machine. Now, by now we have understood what is the nomenclature of the each and every individual velocity components and absolute velocity. We have understood about the inlet, exit, the directions, and the velocity change which causes the true running of the machine. By this understanding, we can start with the Euler's derivation. So the very first thing what we are writing down is F force. The force is generated because of the momentum change or momentum difference between the fluid flow at the inlet and exit. The fluid is flowing at a certain momentum at the inlet, and if the fluid has changed the momentum by the time it is leaving the machine, this difference in momentum is the amount of force which has been applied on the applied between the fluid and the machine. How do we say it as momentum? Mass into velocity is momentum, and mass into velocity is momentum. Momentum by time, it is rate of change of momentum. That is, the amount of force induced is the difference in rate of change of momentum between the inlet and exit of the fluid will gives us the amount of force transfer between the fluid and machine. So where m1 is the mass of the fluid entering, Vu1 is the tangential velocity component of absolute velocity. We have already discussed why we are considering Vu1, not Va or Vm. The reason we have already discussed, because that is the only velocity component which is responsible for the turbine to run or any turbo machine to run, not only turbine, any turbo machine to run. So now I can write m1 by t is equal to m2 by T. That is mass at the entry, mass leaving at the exit. Anyhow, if it is a liquid, by the continuity equation and by the law of conservation of mass, the mass flow rate at the entrance and the mass flow rate at the exit should be same for incompressible fluids, whereas for compressible fluids it might vary to a small extent, but if it is in steady state, even there the mass flow rates at the entry and exit will become same. So, assuming that the mass flow rates are same, I have generalized m1 by T is equal to m2 by T as just m dot. M dot is mass flow rate, just it is same at the entry and exit. So, I am not giving any number as 1 and 2. Next, further substituting, F is equal to m dot into Vu1 minus Vu2. This is representing the change in tangential velocity component in between the inlet and outlet. Next, applied torque. We know the definition of torque, it is force into radius. See, we are applying the force at different radiuses. So, the torque will also be different at inlet and at exit. So, the difference, the net effective torque is got by force into radius. So, m dot. So, we have already got the definition of force, that is m dot into Vu1 minus Vu2. Just for the force I have multiplied R. At Vu1 I have multiplied R1. Why? Because at the entrance the radius is R1 and similarly the radius is R2. Next, once I find the torque, next I can find the total energy transfer, that is nothing but torque into angular velocity omega. So, torque we have already established, omega is angular velocity. So, here the angular velocity, if it is multiplied by r, it will give you the tangential velocity of the rotor. Suppose if I multiply the angular velocity at any radius will remain same, this we should be knowing. So, it is not a new thing. Angular velocity, suppose if I take the angular velocity to be, the unit is radians per second, whether I take it at radius r2 or radius r1, the angle at which the rate of change of angle for both the points will be same irrespective of the radius. That is not a new thing. Here angular velocity into radius will absolutely change, of course change, that will create u1 and u2. If I multiply angular velocity with the radius 1, it will give you as u1, which is nothing but the tangential velocity of the rotor at the inlet, and if I multiply with r2, it gives out the tangential velocity of the rotor at exit. The angular velocity is same, but the tangential velocity at the inlet and exit will differ because of the reason the radius is going to change. If the radius are same at the inlet and exit, both the tangential velocity also at the inlet and exit will remain same. This is the case where it happens in axial flow machines, where the flow will not change its radius from inlet to outlet, it will remain same. The very best example is the fan. So, we will be discussing it in the later classes. So, next, once I multiply angular velocity into torque, I will get the total energy, where the unit comes out to be joule. Joule is the amount of work done. So, joule is the unit of work or energy transfer. Next, E naught is equal to m dot. So if I multiply omega into R1, I will get U1. Similarly, omega into R2, I will get U2. I have rearranged or reduced the equation into the format of, this is the total energy transfer when I know the total mass flow rate. So E naught is equal to m dot into VU1 into VU2 minus of U2 into VU2. Now once again the unit is joule. Now finally we are writing the energy transfer per unit mass of flow rate of fluid. So the fluid might be water in hydraulic turbines, might be steam in steam turbines, and might be a combustion gases in case of gas turbine. So here we have reduced into a format of energy transfer between the fluid and machine when the fluid is per kg basis. For each and every kg of working fluid passing through turbo machine, what was the energy transfer? That is, it is specific energy transfer, whereas E naught is the total energy transfer. So by this we have arrived to the final equation. The specific energy or the energy per unit mass, the energy transfer per unit mass which has taken place in the turbo machine, the final equation is U1 VU1 minus U2 VU2. This is the energy, basic fundamental energy transfer equation for a generalized turbo machine. It might be for an axial machine, radial machine, for a reaction machine, for an impulse machine, irrespective of any kind of turbo machine or any classification kind of turbo machine. This is a universal energy transfer equation of a turbo machine. So this, if you substitute here, the E value comes out to be positive. That means whenever the E comes out to be of positive value, we will call it as power producing machine. Suppose for a power absorbing machine, it comes out to be negative. The negative represents the energy is being absorbed. The positive value represents the energy has been as a given thing, or the energy has been outputted. So this is what is the basic fundamental Euler's equation. The very key essence of today's lecture is we need to be very familiar with the notations and its meaning at the entry and also at the exit, and among these three resolved components, the VU1 is the most important velocity component, which is cause or which is the reason for the running of the turbo machine. Then we need to know the energy transfer equation between the fluid and the machine, and for positive it comes out to be a positive numerical value. For a power absorbing machine, it comes out to be a negative numerical value. Seeing this, we will be ending up this class. Thank you.